Hello friends, this is Dr. Vijay Kumar. I am welcoming you all in my lecture on heritability part 3. In the first part of heritability lecture, I discussed introduction, definition, types and general features related to heritability. In the second part of heritability lecture, I discussed various myths or misconceptions attached with heritability, importance and usage of heritability. In this part of heritability lecture, I will discuss methods of estimation of heritability and also how to improve measurement of heritability. Again, I will request you all, please see the description of this video for the links of lectures related to heritability part 1, heritability part 2, breeding values and components of variance for continuity. So, heritability can be estimated by two approaches. There are mainly two approaches for estimation of heritability. The first one is by phenotypic resemblance among relatives, and the second approach is selection experiments. So first I will discuss phenotypic resemblance among relatives. This is the most common approach for estimation of heritability. We know that relatives resemble each other due to their common ancestry, and because of common ancestry they have common genes. Estimate of heritability for a trait can be obtained from an estimate of either the regression coefficient of one relative on other, or by computing the correlation coefficient between the relatives. So there are two ways to estimate heritability: either the regression coefficient of one relative on the other, or by computing the correlation coefficients between related individuals. These two approaches are generally used for estimation of heritability by using phenotypic resemblance among relations. We have these sets of relatives which are frequently used for estimation of heritability. We can use identical twins for estimation of heritability, offspring parent relationship for estimation of heritability. We can also use half-shifts. Half-shifts are those individuals which have one parent common. We can also use full shifts analysis, and full shifts are those individuals which have both parent common. In human being, generally full shifts, brothers and sisters are examples of full shifts, but in livestock we generally found half shifts, and in the case of half shifts only one parents are common. Generally male, generally sire are common in case of livestock. Now first I will discuss twin analysis, how to estimate heritability by using twin analysis. In case of complete twin, there is The genetic makeup of twins are 100% same, and the correlation coefficient between the phenotypic values of identical twins estimate the broad sense heritability. This is important to understand. In case of identical twins, genetic makeup is 100% same among the individuals, and heritability value is estimated as correlation coefficient between the phenotypic values of identical twins. The essential requirement for the estimation of heritability from identical twins is that the identical twins must be separated from each other early in the life, so that one member of the pair is reared in one environment while the other member is reared in the another environment. This is very important. Both twins must be reared in different environment, and the heritability which is estimated by this approach is broad sense heritability. It is not narrow sense, it is broad sense heritability, symbolized as capital H square. There are certain limitations of this method. The first and the most important limitation is that frequency of twinning in most livestock is very low. Rarely twins available, we found twins in the livestock. In the case of cattle, buffalo, very hardly you will find the twinning case. We will get twins in sheep, in case of goat, but in case of large animal like cattle and buffalo, rarely we got twins record. So, estimation of heritability using identical twin analysis is very difficult because we will not get the records for estimation of heritability. The second limitation is that it provides an estimate of broad sense heritability. As I mentioned earlier, the heritability value estimated by identical twin analysis is broad sense heritability, and we know that I discussed it earlier. The importance of broad sense heritability is very less than narrow sense heritability. Narrow sense heritability is important for estimation of genetic gain, for prediction of breeding value. Broad sense heritability has very limited use. So this is the second limitation. And the third limitation is that identical twins share common environment. Common environment due to maternal and neonatal effect. And because of sharing common environment, this common environment effect may overestimate broad sense heritability. The estimate of broad sense heritability which we compute using this twinning analysis is overestimated. The value is more than the value which should be estimated. The value is overestimated. Now the second relationship which is generally used is the offspring parent relationship. The relationship between the offspring and parents can be measured as the correlation coefficient between offspring and parent, or as the regression of offspring on parent. So using offspring parent relationship, we can estimate heritability. Under this approach, there are two ways. First is we can measure correlation coefficient between offspring and parent, or we can estimate regression of offspring on parent. By these two approaches, we can estimate heritability. Both the correlation and regression coefficient provide identical estimates of heritability. If the phenotypic variance among parents and among offspring is the same. Again I am repeating, we can estimate heritability using offspring parent relationship by two approaches. We can adopt two approaches for estimation of heritability using offspring parent relationship. The first is we can measure correlation coefficient between offspring and parent, or we can estimate regression of offspring on parent. Both will give similar result under one condition. And what is that condition? Phenotypic variance among parent and phenotypic variance among offspring should be same. This is the condition. In livestock species, in the case of livestock species, this condition is usually not fulfilled. Why this is not fulfilled? Because the parents are usually a selected group. In livestock, we generally use selection techniques, and when we use selection in parents for the improvement in the progeny generation, the phenotypic variance among parental group is less than the phenotypic variance among the offspring. When we select individuals, automatically your phenotypic variance will be less, and we are selecting parents, so phenotypic variance of parental group will be less than phenotypic variance in offspring group. So the value of heritability by these two approaches, these are the two approaches, correlation coefficient estimation and regression coefficient estimation. This will be not same here. In this case, for livestock, the heritability estimation by these two approaches will be different. because phenotypic variance among parental group and phenotypic variance among progeny group are different. So in this case, in the case of livestock, what should be adopted? When variances between parent and offspring groups are unequal, regression of offspring on parent provide more valid estimate of heritability. Under this situation, we generally use regression of offspring on parent. So now we will discuss how to use regression of offspring on parents. There are two approaches. This is the first approach, regression of offspring on one parent. Regression of offspring on one parent, this I will explain here. We can apply regression of offspring on mid parent or regression of offspring on average parent, but here I will discuss this will be the second approach. I will explain later on, but here the first approach is regression of offspring on one parent. Regression coefficient of performance of offspring on performance of one parent, either sire or dam, measures half of the narrow sense heritability. Regression coefficient of performance of offspring on performance of one parent, sire or dam, measures half of the narrow sense heritability. That is, narrow sense heritability equals twice the regression of offspring on one parent. This is the formula. Heritability equals 2 BOP. Here B is regression coefficient and O refers to the performance of offspring and P refers to the performance of one parent, either sire or dam. Now I will explain the second approach, the second method for estimation of regression. We can also use regression of offspring on mid parent. Earlier we used regression of offspring on one parent. There only one parent performance was used, either sire or dam. In this case, we will use both parent performance, sire and dam's performance simultaneously will be used. Their average value will be used. So the regression of performance of offspring on the average performance of parent estimate the narrow sense heritability. Here the formula is heritability equal to BOP. B is regression coefficient. Here O refers to the performance of offspring and P refers to average performance of the two parents. Depending upon the availability of the data on offspring and parent, heritability can be estimated from either of these two types of regression. So this is very important. Which method should be used? If we have data for one parent only, then we will apply first method. If we have data from both parents, then we can apply the second method. There are some examples which method should be used. For example, this is the first example. In the case of Sex limited trade like egg production, milk production, these are generally observed in female only. In that case, regression of daughters on the dam can be used for the calculation of heritability. For sex limited trade, for example, egg production, milk production, these are mainly found in female group. In that case, we will use regression of daughters on the dams. If the observation for that trait are available in the both parents, for example, there are several traits which we, we, we will find we will found observation phenotypic values in both sexes. For example, body weight, wool production, these phenotypes are observed in both sex. In this case, regression of offspring on mid parent can be used. Similarly, if the trait is expressed in males only, for example, semen characteristic traits, the regression of sons on the sires can be used for estimation of heritability. So now this is clear what approach should be adopted in what conditions. What is the main advantage of this method is that this regression method between offspring and parents, this is the main advantage. This method provides a true estimate of narrow sense heritability. The earlier method, by twin analysis method, we generally found the broad sense heritability. Here we are we estimate narrow sense heritability, and the value is true estimate, very close to the heritability value. And the major limitation is that we must have records of parents. Generally, recording of performance is a major problem in case of developing countries. So here we require the records of parent. This is the major limitation. We need much more recording for the estimation of heritability by this method. Now the third relationship, SIB analysis, this can be used for the estimation of heritability, and SIBs are generally of two types, half SIBs and full SIBs. As I described earlier, in the case of half SIBs, one parent is common. In case of full SIBs, both parents are common. Generally, in human being, full SIBs in family, we found full SIBs. Under livestock, we generally found half SIBs. Their sides are common, dams are different. So, first we will see half SIB analysis. Half SIB may be paternal or maternal. Paternal half SIBs, in the case of paternal half SIBs, sire is common. In case of maternal half SIBs, dam is common. Of the two type of SIBs, the paternal half SIBs are more common in livestock. I already discussed. In case of livestock, sire are common. So, of these two types of SIBs, the paternal half SIBs are more common in livestock species because sire can be mated to a number of dams, and thus resulting in a number of half shifts. The total phenotypic variations observed among the progeny for a trait is partitioned through analysis of variance. Using ANOVA analysis, in this case under half-shift analysis, using ANOVA analysis, we partition total phenotypic variation observed among progeny. After partitioning, we will get two types of variation. Variation between the progeny of different sites. Here we analyze progeny from different sites. What is the difference? There may be several sites used in a herd. We observe the variation between the progeny of different sites. This is referred as between sire or between family variation. This is referred to as between sire or between family variation. Here, different progeny from different sires were analyzed for variation. Now the second variation is variation within the progeny of sires. Here in this case, from a single sire, several progeny are coming. We analyze the variation from a single sire. The progeny produced from a single sire, in those progeny, what is the variations which is observed under variation within the progeny of sire, which is referred as within sire or within family variation. These two types of variations are generally used under this method, and this is the ANOVA table for ANOVA analysis for the estimation of heritability. Here between sire there is a source of variation between sire, within sire. In between sire we have values regarding within family variance and sire variance. In under source of variation, we have also under the column of source of variation we have within sire, and in within sire we have within family variance. These variances will be used for the estimation of heritability. Using that table, we can estimate intra-class correlation, which is symbolized as a small t, intra-class correlation, and the formula of intra-class correlation is sire variance, which is also known as between family variance, sire variance divided by summation of sire variance plus within family variance. This is the formula for intra-class correlation. Generally in exams, in objective questions or during viva, generally this question is asked to what is intra-class correlation, what is the formula of intra-class correlation. This is important, and intra-class correlation is equal to 1/4 heritability. So the heritability value is equal to 4 into intra-class correlation. 4 time intra-class correlation is heritability. In this way, we can estimate the value of heritability. What are different advantages of this method? So, the different advantages are, by using this method, half-sieve method, we generally get unbiased estimate of heritability in a narrow sense, which is free from non-additive genetic variance and environmental variance. This heritability estimate is free from non-additive genetic effect and environmental effect. This is the major advantage of this method. Some other advantages are, this does not require the record of parents, the performance record of parents. So, less recording is required in this method. As less recording is required for this method is inexpensive and cost effective. When we require too much recording, that type of methods generally get costly when more recording is required. When less recording is required, the method in which less recording required are generally inexpensive and cost effective. This paternal half-sieve analysis method is widely used under livestock for the estimation of heritability. Maternal half-sieve analysis is rarely used because of two reasons. The first and the most important is, maternal half-sieve family is very small. We have very few number of maternal half-sieve. So, the heritability value which we estimate from this approach is not very correct estimate. When sample size is less, in that case the error will be higher. So, this method is generally not used, maternal half-sieve method. And under maternal half-sieve method, maternal effects, common environmental effects or maternal effects are showing their play, and because of these maternal effects, generally the value of heritability is overestimated. Now we will see full-sieve analysis. Full-sieve analysis, as I discussed earlier, are those individuals which have both dams and sire common. Full-sieves are generally found in poultry and swine. In case of poultry and in case of pig, we generally found full-sieves because in single pregnancy, after single pregnancy we have so many progenies from poultry and swine. So full-sieves families are generally common in poultry and pigs. Here, using ANOVA, as similar to half-sieve analysis as we have done in half-sieve analysis, here also using ANOVA, we will partition the variation, and these value we will estimate differences between the progeny of different sires, which is referred to as between sire component, differences between the progeny of dams mated to the same sire referred to as between dam component of variance. Differences between progeny of same dam, which is referred to as within dam component of variance. Between sire component of variance is symbolized as sigma square s. Between dam component of variance is symbolized as sigma square d. Within dam component of variance is symbolized as sigma square w. So these three components of variances are estimated using ANOVA analysis, and then these are the three ways to estimate heritability. We can estimate heritability from sire component, which is 4 times sigma square s divided by summation of sigma square s plus sigma square d plus sigma square d sigma square w. This is the first way. The second way to calculate heritability is heritability from dam component. Here formula will be 4 times sigma square d divided summation of sigma square s plus sigma square d plus sigma square w. The third way is heritability from sire plus dam component, and the formula is 2 times summation of sigma square s plus sigma square d divided by sigma square s plus sigma square d plus sigma square w. So this formula can be used for the estimation of heritability under full sieve analysis approach. And the limitations of full sieve method is that the first and the most important limitation is this analysis is very complicated, and generally the full sieve correlation method is not commonly used in most species of livestock because full sieve families of fairly large size are not available in single birth species. So full sieve family size is very small. This is the second limitation. And the third limitation is this method overestimate the heritability value because it include contribution of dominance and maternal effects. Here in this case a standard error value is larger, so these are some limitations. Now the second approach, heritability estimation from selection experiments. The earlier were using phenotypic resemblance between the relatives. This is the entirely different approach. Here heritability estimation from selection experiment, and the first is apparent heritability estimation. Here for estimation of apparent heritability, we generally estimate heritability by dividing the dams mated to a sire in two groups. We divide dams in two groups. The one group is better good animals, good sires, good dams. The first group is better group of dams and the second group is inferior group of dams. The performance of the progeny of the two groups of dams is recorded and heritability is obtained as this formula. Heritability equals difference in daughters record of two groups divided by difference in dam record of two groups. We will get two groups of daughters, one groups from better dams, one groups from inferior dams. So heritability is the difference. Heritability is the ratio of difference in a daughter's record of two groups divided by difference in dams record of two groups. This is the apparent heritability. And the second way of estimation of heritability is realized heritability, and the direct comparison of response to selection and selection differential. In the selection experiment estimate the heritability, which is known as realized heritability. As we know that response to heritability equals heritability into selection differential. So using this formula, heritability equal to response to selection divided by selection differential. Now, which method should be used for estimation of heritability? So all these methods have some advantage and some limitations. We choose method on the basis of biology of organism and the type of data available. What is the biology of organism? Whether the animal species is producing one child of progeny after one pregnancy, or animal is producing so many progeny in litter after one pregnancy. This will determine whether half sheep or full sheep family is small or larger. So the biology of organism of a species and the type of data available, whether parent generation data is available or not, all these things we will have to consider for adopting a method. For example, full sheep are very few in cattle and buffalo and other uniparous species. Uniparous species means the species which produce one progeny after one pregnancy. So under this case, full sheep analysis cannot be used. In general, paternal half sheep correlation method is most commonly used for estimation of heritability. Now the second part, the last part, how to improve the heritability measurement. As we know, heritability, when heritability is high, prediction of breeding value will be more accurate. So our estimation of heritability should be large. There are certain managemental strategies and mathematical techniques that are generally used for increasing the value of heritability, and these technique and strategies I will discuss here. And first and the most important is providing environmental uniformity. If you will provide uniform environment, under that case your environmental variance will be low, and when environmental variance is low, your heritability value will be high, because in the formula of heritability, environmental variance contribution is coming in the denominator. So environmental variance should be low, and we can reduce environmental variance by making environment uniform. Uniformity in environment does not mean making the environment better. This is not the case. You make the environment better. improve the nutrition, you improve the housing. This we will not have to do. We just make environment uniform. The second approach is accurate measurement of data. The data should be accurate, free from biasness. The third step is use of multiple measurement. If we have a multiple measurement, then positive and negative bias cancelled out, and we have the exact record and exact figure of the performance. We also need to do adjustment of record for non-genetic factors. There are several non-genetic factors, for example, period, season, they are affecting the performance. So we will have to nullify these effects by using some methods. We generally use least square method for adjustment of records. We should also do analysis on the basis of contemporary groups. Contemporary groups are those animals which experience same environment. If the birth duration is 2 months, in between 2 months, then those animals are generally supposed to as contemporary, experiencing the same environment. Analysis on the basis of contemporary groups give better result of heritability. So these are all for today. Thanks for watching video. Thank you very much.